Hello, hello, hello. Something just happened. I am here with Vanessa Raymond for the 3 secrets to ultimate confidence and a successful life. I am so excited for this. I think we all, men and women, need to be listening to this. My name is Sabrina Victoria. For those of you that don't know me, this is her talk show. We talk all about all things women, health, life, business. Super excited about this and to have this conversation with this wonderful woman. Let's jump in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is her talk show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. We have had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. We have Vanessa Raymond. She is an interactive motivational speaker. Girl, what? That sounds so awesome. A self-image and confidence coach and best-selling author of Power Confidence, Your Ultimate Guide to Unstoppable Confidence. She is passionate about helping people step into their power of greatness to accomplish higher levels of success in business and life. Girl, I love this interactive motivational speaker. I can totally visualize that.
Yes. Got to get everyone involved.
Yes, that sounds like the best type of motivational speaker.
Well,
versus it's the ones that just like yell at you the whole time. Like in a good way, right? I love motivational speakers. I'm one of those people. But to have it interactive?
Well, the whole fitness background and the performance background, all of that plays into that. So we just get everyone involved and have everyone have fun. So
yes. I just found out about the acting thing. So let's just step into that for just a moment. I was reading through her notes backstage and it's like, I'm from South Africa and spent a large portion of my adult life performing around the world. She was a musical theater major. How long ago was this?
So I literally retired from stage in 2007. So it's been a while.
That is so freaking cool. Like, what's your fave? Like, are you like musical? Are you drama? Are you comedy? What are you?
Well, musical theater was always my favorite. I'm really a dancer at heart. So I grew up dancing. I started ballet when I was 3. Mom put me in all the classes and all I ever wanted to do was dance. But then in high school, I discovered, and, grandmother was a piano and singing teacher. So I sang and played an instrument and did all that my whole life. And then in high school, interesting fact, in my native language, which is Afrikaans, we don't really have musicals. We only have operettas or straight plays, right? So when I got introduced to musicals in high school, it opened a whole new world for me. And that was instantly what I wanted to do for a living. And so that's what kind of led to that. But the acting and the singing, I love, but the dancing was always my number one passion.
Wow, that is so stinking cool. I freaking love that for you. And what a better person to teach us about confidence than somebody is on stage dancing.
It was a learning school. And so, as far as life goes and confidence goes, I say confidence, but really in life, so many things affect our self-image and our confidence and the way we perceive ourselves. And I believe the way we perceive ourselves is then how we end up showing up in the world at large. And that's why I find it so important. And as growing up, in front of mirrors, we always assessing ourselves and comparing ourselves to others. And so the world of the performance industry was a great school for that whole self-image confidence piece. I always say, as growing up, being in the dance studio and doing the performance things was what built up my confidence. But the moment I stepped into the actual professional world of performance, it was the opposite. That's when it come crashing down, and the real world is hard. I also grew up as a big fish in a small pond, and then you step into this big world where you're just the little fish, and it can be soul crushing. And so that journey is really what brought me to part of what brought me to doing what I'm doing now.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And yeah, I can only imagine. The transition there. I know you talk a lot about power, self-worth, and you bring it back to the basics, which I really appreciate. You talk a lot about posture, body language, and communication skills. I'd love to kind of just dive into that. And I love this because I feel like this is something tangible that, like, anyone listening, by the way, we have a ton of people listening live right now. Thank you so much for being here. But anybody listening right now would be able to kind of grasp and use, like, starting today. So I'd love to kind of just dive into that posture, body language, communication skills. How do we get our power back using these?
Yes, Sabrina, I'm so passionate about this because I'm all about actionable content. I want you to walk away here today and be able to go, okay, Vanessa's raised my awareness about this. So now I'm going to put some focus on it, and I'm going to start implementing it, because really what that comes back to is, I believe that, yes, some of the things that I teach is all about mindset, and it's all about, I always say, don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. We're all unique. To find your own power, you have to really see yourself as that unique human being, right? Mm-hmm. But how do we do that? And it is by how we show up in the world. I always say, your self-image is something that you get to choose. Your personal power is a choice. You choose to step into your own power. We always think we need to get it from somewhere, or it's from an external source. No. And actually, there's a beautiful little story that I heard once that stuck with me, if I may share.
Yeah.
So some of you might have heard this before, but it's a story that I got introduced to just a couple years ago. And it so resonated with me because it really is the foundation of what I teach. So this little boy went to his dad and he said, "Dad, what is my worth? What is my life worth?" And the dad said to him, "My son," and he passed him a rock and he said, "Take this rock and go to the market and offer it to someone at the market to buy. Just get a price and come back to me and let me know what they offered you for the rock." So this boy went to the market. He went to one of the vendors there and he said, "Sir, I'd like to sell you my rock. What would you pay me for my rock?" And, I'm going to talk in today's money terms. The person said, "I will give you $1 for your rock." And the son came home and he said to his dad, "Dad, this gentleman at the market said he'd give me $1 for my rock." And dad said, "Okay, son, now I want you to go into town and I want you to go to the local museum and offer them your rock and ask them, what will they give you for your rock?" So, and actually maybe the person in the market said $10, right? Or $10. He went to the museum in town and he went to the owner of the museum and he said, "Sir, I have this rock. What would you pay me for this rock?" The gentleman looked at the rock and he said, "Son, that is a beautiful rock you have there. I will give you $1,000 for that rock." And the son went back home all excited. "Dad, the gentleman at the museum said he'd give me $1,000 for this rock." And the dad said, "Okay, now, son, I want you to go into town again, but go to the precious stone store and show them the rock." He went there, he showed them the rock, and the gentleman at the precious stone store said, "Son, this rock is really unique. It is one of a kind. I will give you $10,000 for your rock." Wow. And the son went back home and his dad, "This rock, this gentleman wanted to give me $10,000. He says, "Son, and now do you know your worth?" So who are we associating with? Where are we putting ourselves in our lives? Who are the people that we're surrounding ourselves with? These are all choices that we get to make. So I just love that story and wanted to share it because that really comes back to, what is it that determines our worth? And a lot of it is, how are we showing up in life? What are we doing daily to improve ourselves and our ideas and our thoughts about ourselves? And then what are we doing to make our interactions with other people more kind, more worthwhile, better? Because I believe those positive interactions is what helps us build our self-image and our self-confidence. But we are the initiators of each interaction that we have.
Yeah.
And so how we step into these interactions, these relationships, whether it's a networking event, whether it's a first date, whether it's just someone you meet at a coffee shop, or whatever it is you're doing, the mindset and the energy that we go into this interaction with is largely going to determine the outcome. So I love to work with my clients on is, how are you representing yourself and what is going to add and enhance your energy? And I start with posture and body language, because growing up, I would walk in the street and a stranger would come up to me and say, "You must be a dancer." And I'm like, because I walked like a dancer, right? Ballerinas, dancers, they have a beautiful posture. And then of course, later in my life, I became a Pilates instructor. Pilates is all about alignment and about, posture, about how are you standing, sitting, walking, talking to be in the best alignment possible. But here's the interesting thing, Sabrina, that really fires me up. So all this started, and later I'll share the story of how this all actually started, because it really is impactful how this came to fruition for me. But if you think about communication and how people perceive you and how they respond to you, again, you're the initiator of that. Did you know that 55% of what people get from you, understand from you, is body language? 38% is your tone of voice, and only 7% is the words that you actually speak.
Wow. Okay. So 55% is body language, 38% is tone. And then the actual words is how much?
7%.
Wow.
So you've heard people say, "Oh, it's not what you said, it's how you said it," right? You've heard it
Yes.
many times. So how are you walking into anything? How are you in energy? Plus, when I talk about energy, that can be a kind of an esoterical term for people too. But how do we enhance our energy? If you think about a beautiful, upright, tall posture, that opens all the meridians in the body. It opens up your lungs. You get oxygen to your brain, and you physically gain energy. But you're also changing the composition of hormones in your brain, because as we stand taller, we are generating, and this has been scientifically proven, there's been studies done on this, that you are immediately elevating the testosterone levels in your brain, which is our power hormone, right? Testosterone. And you're decreasing your cortisol levels, which is our stress levels. So just like exercise does the same thing, by simply elongating our spine, standing tall, we immediately changing our mental emotional state, just because the chemicals in our brain are being adjusted. And I have numbers to that too, right? When you're in low power postures, like I always say to people, just how you can see how someone's feeling by looking at them.
Yeah.
You can also change how you're feeling by changing how you're acting. Right? So we're actually way more powerful than we ever imagined, because we really do have quite a lot of control over how we feel. We quite often put ourselves in that victim mindset, and we fall victim to our emotions a lot of the time. And I'm not saying, of course, there's always the ups and downs. If things happen in our life, we have to go through grieving processes. We have to do things. But the important thing to know is that you do have the ability and the power to take charge of those things through being aware of your posture, your body language, your breath, your mindset. What are the thoughts that are going through your mind, and how can you alter those? So when I talk about the 3 secrets of power confidence, the ultimate confidence, the first one is awareness. Because when we really become aware of where we are now, but we also become aware of the things we can do to improve the situation or the mental emotional state or whatever is going on in our lives, it is so empowering just to like come back to that awareness and go, wow, you know what? I actually have the power to change how I feel by setting intention and then taking action.
Got it.
So those are my 3 secrets, right? Awareness, intention, and then action. Because then we get into the driver's seat and we take charge of, we don't let other people determine how we're supposed to feel about ourselves. We're taking charge and we're stepping into our own power, and we are changing how we feel about ourselves.
Wow. That is phenomenal. I love the reminder of the body language, tone, and words. I think we know this, but we always forget this. Like, it's not about the words, it's about the tonality and the body language with it. First, like a great step for creating power. This is actually reminding me of a TikTok that I saw recently of a little dog.
What?
It's this woman who has like a little puppy, like the cutest little puppy. And she goes, it doesn't matter what I say, but if I say it in this tone, he'll sit down. So she goes, sit down. And he sits. And then a little, like, the next day or something, she goes, curling iron. And he sits down. And then she goes, blanket. And he sits down. So it's kind of reminding me of the same thing. It's like, we're not paying attention to the words. Humans are the same way. We're paying attention to the tone and the body language. I love that. Standing up tall, sitting up tall. As soon as you say it, it's like, yes. I even notice that in my days, right? Like I'm working, and sometimes while I'm working, I start to tend to like slump over my computer. Yeah. And then the moment that I sit up, just all of a sudden I get rejuvenized with more energy.
And it's the simplest thing. Like I always say to people, Sabrina, I'm not teaching anybody anything that they don't know.
Yeah.
My mission in life is to heighten awareness and remind people that, and that's the other thing about body language. When we talk about first impressions, right? People form a first impression within the first few seconds of laying eyes on you. You might not have even opened your mouth to speak yet.
Yeah.
And they've already made. So in one of the classes that I teach, I always say, who here knows about the 7-Eleven rule, right? Have you heard of the 7-Eleven rule? And then, no, it's not a slushy at midnight, right? It's not that. What it is that within the first 7 seconds of people laying eyes on you, they have already made 11 decisions about you.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine, and again, I'm not talking about being the best and the most best dressed and having all the, I'm talking about what's the energy you're bringing forth, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in sweats or whether you're in your cutest outfit. And of course, that's going to depend on the situation, we want to always be appropriate, right? I'm not going to show up on a show like this dressed in my pajamas, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about authenticity, which is a big buzzword now in the self-help world, right? I'm not less authentic in my sweats or my workout clothes than I am in my beautiful black dress or whatever. Yes, that facilitates showing up as the best version of ourselves. But in the end, what people feel from you is your attitude, your energy. I always say it's like, remember when we used to tune our radios, right? Before streaming. Am I aging myself here? When we used to tune our radios, you know what you're looking for, right? You're looking for the rock station, or you're looking for the talk show station, or the classical station, whatever it may be. You know where on the radio are those frequencies.
Yeah. Wow.
And I always say, are you aware what your frequency is? What are people tapping into when they're tapping into you?
Wow.
There's no wrong or right answer. It's a choice, right?
Yes.
You get to choose what is that energy that you want. My number one question is always, hey, Sabrina, how, or anyone else out there who's listening, you can answer this question for yourself. What is the feeling you want people to have when they are in your presence? Because simply by identifying that and being aware of that, you can project that.
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love the 7-Eleven rule. It's so good.
I know. I mean, for some people, it's like scary. It's daunting. But here's the thing. Again, you have total control of that. And no, there are going to be people. We're not here on this planet to be liked and loved by everybody. There are going to be people who do not resonate with your energy or who you are or what you do, but that should not affect how you feel about yourself, because you choose to be that person. And you know what? With the energy that you bring forth, you are going to attract your people.
Yeah.
And those people who are not your people, that's okay. They'll go find their people. You do not have to be everybody's person. And that's something that I really had to learn, because I was that huge people pleaser. I compromised myself and my own beliefs and my own convictions and even my own identity so much because I wanted to make sure everyone around me was being kept happy by me. And that is the worst way to be, because that is the way to be unidentifiable, number one. And number two, to be walked all over by people. I was a doormat, right? I was just being used and abused by everybody, not in a horrible way, but you know what I mean? Because when you try to please everybody, people will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And so stepping into your power, deciding who you are, and showing up in posture, body language, and the way you communicate with people in that identity is the way that you're going to be the most authentic and true to yourself. And that is what's going to help you create those beautiful relationships, whether they're personal or business relationships, that actually last a lifetime and that bring success and happiness and joy and all the things that we want in our lives.
Wow. Absolutely. This is giving off very boss vibes, boss babe vibes.
Yes.
I know you talk a little bit about how stepping into this in general can eliminate pain. When you say that, is this like actual physical pain, or are you talking about like just the pain of just not feeling like you're good enough?
It's both, right?
Okay.
Initially, it was really about the physical pain, because I'm also a trainer, right? I'm a yoga instructor, Pilates instructor, kettlebell instructor, personal trainer. I do all those things too. And as a dancer, my body and the way my body feels was always very important. And aches and pains happen. Anybody who does any kind of sport or excel at anything real physical understand. But what also happens is when we have poor posture, we are creating pain in our bodies. Because when you're not aligned with gravity, these days that text neck thing is a big thing, because we're here texting on our phones the whole time. And by the way, this is a real low power posture. It decreases your testosterone, increases your cortisol right here.
Wow.
Okay. So what I'm saying is when you learn how to align your body those people who are struggling with the neck pain and the upper back and the shoulder pain and the lower back pain, because our body alignment, the more aligned you are with gravity, the less tension your muscles get. Because imagine your head is the heaviest thing on your body. And here you have gravity pulling on your head and you're carrying it with all these muscles. When your shoulders are back and down and your head's over your shoulders, you are eliminating that tension. So where that goes into the mental emotional part of this, or how we feel, when I'm in pain, I'm irritable, I'm grumpy, I'm tearful, I don't feel good. So when you're in pain, it's really difficult to feel empowered. So it's a big part of it is also helping your body come out of physical pain so that you can feel your best self and generate energy, right? So aside from the meridians and the lungs and the oxygen and all the good things that happen with good posture, I used to have chronic lower back pain. And when I learned about Pilates, I realized that if I can bring my body to neutral spine, which is where the spine is its happiest. And so for me, it was a case of just tucking my tail under a little bit. I was a little bit overarched. It immediately eliminated. But, you got to understand the technicalities of that, because if you're walking like that, your hip flexors are tight. So we have to stretch the hip flexors. We have to do all these things. So these are all things I can also help my clients with, because that's where my knowledge lies. But by simply elongating, and I actually have a really cool little visualization that I do with my clients. It's called the red velvet rope visualization. And it just really helps you elongate your spine. And I've been saying I'm going to put it on YouTube so I can share it in these things. I haven't done it yet. But maybe this can be my motivation to get that done and put it out there so people can actually access it. But, if you can just think about putting that crown on your head, walking like a queen, and you don't want that crown to fall off, right? That already. And for me, it's always that feeling of elongation, like something's pulling on the crown of your head. So I talk about that velvet rope just gently tugging at the crown of your head, and you're feeling like you're floating 2 inches off the ground while you're walking, right? That feeling, that's that regal feeling, that powerful feeling. And it's like a snowball, because it starts really small. And the more you do it, the more you feel it, the more you want to act that way. And the more you act that way, the more you feel like it. And so it just snowballs into confidence and just feeling so good. If you just take that first step and go, okay, I'm just going to sit up straight to start, right? And set reminders for yourself. It's been programmed into my brain. Now, you're going to laugh, because in South Africa, we call them robots, traffic lights. For me, when I end up at a red traffic light, that's my cue to remind myself to sit up straight. Right? I drive a lot. So, what are your cues? What can remind you? What can be that little signal, like Pavlov's dogs, right? Or that NLP thing. What can you implement in your daily life? Every time I take a sip of water, can that be my cue to sit up straighter? Or, can I have a little alarm clock that goes off once every hour, or a notification that pops up and says, hey? And it's funny because it sounds so stupid and simple. Like, really, is this now a secret? But I've had a couple, one girl in particular who came through my Show Up program. And after the program, she called me up. She said, Vanessa, I just want to tell you that since I took your program, in the last 3 days, I've gained 4 new clients. And I think it's because I'm sitting up straight. I'm like, it kind of has that effect, because people immediately see you as more of an authority, because you're acting that way, you're being that way. Right? And that process isn't always easy. People will come to me and say, but how, I really don't believe in myself. I really don't feel good about myself. How do I even? And my little subtext, or my little slogan is, act it, feel it, be it. Because if you can't feel it yet, it's hard to conjure it up. So how can you feel it? First, you kind of got to act it. You got to pretend, right? And it's not about not being who you are or being pretentious or any of that. It's about, I always say, find a role model, find someone who has those attributes that you would like to incorporate in yourself. And by the way, if you're seeing those attributes in someone else, you already have them, because you would not recognize them if they weren't somewhere.
Ooh. Okay.
So if you find that in someone else and you say, oh, so back in the day, also it's one of the stories I tell in my book, when I was working on a cruise ship and I was working with someone and I was having a hard time. I was struggling with my weight and I was doing a new show and I was struggling with the work. And so I just didn't altogether feel good about myself. And he looked at me and he said, so who out there, because I said to him, I feel fat and I feel da-da-da. And he said to me, but if you want to feel skinny and tall, you got to start acting like it. I'm like, huh? What the heck are you talking about? So he's like, well, who out there do you think is cute and tall and skinny? And at the time it was Cameron Diaz, right? So I said, Cameron Diaz. So the next day I went out my door thinking, okay, how would Cameron Diaz walk? What would she do, right? And I'm not lying to you. This is for real. I was on a cruise ship, so I was walking through the cruise ship shops, and people who've known me, I've been there for weeks, looked at me and said, hey, did you lose weight? Right? And I mean, from yesterday to today, I didn't lose any weight. I was just walking differently. I was feeling lighter. I was elongating my body. I was standing tall. So I appeared skinnier and taller and lighter and happier. Right?
Wow.
And so then those compliments come and you go, well, okay, I'm going to do more of this. And that's the snowball, right?
Wow. Wow. What a cool story. I love that. And I forgot about Cameron Diaz. Everyone loved Cameron Diaz. What happened to her?
I'm like back in 2000 and I don't know, 1 or 2000.
Yeah. Where did she go?
I don't know, but I always, that was the first image that came up in my mind. And even though, me, I'm curvy, I'm muscular and voluptuous, she was skinny, but that's not what it's about. It's about the idea and feeling it, because then you're projecting that energy. Yeah. So act it. That'll help you to feel it. And once you feel it, you internalize it and you become it. Yeah. So you can really create yourself. You've always created yourself, right? Yeah. Now take control of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I've taken a ton of notes. This has been absolutely fabulous. We have a ton of people watching live. I'd love for you to touch on exactly what you do. Who should be reaching out to you? Who do you help?
That is a loaded question, Sabrina. But as far as the confidence and self-image coaching, I love working with women, any woman, right? When I started this, it was really, I was working with those stay-at-home moms. I was working with a lot of different kinds of women, even like kids who were transitioning from college to the workplace, those types of things. But my true passion is working with entrepreneurs, speakers, and leaders who want to really up their game in their business. But either way, I just love helping women in this reality and in this realm and this part of their body, because I believe that the way we feel about ourselves, truly, our self-confidence and our self-image, which, by the way, is always fluctuating. That's normal. It's okay. We always feel more confident about some things than others. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But when you have these skills and you know how to implement them, it's empowering. And so anybody who's really feeling like, whether it is because they want a meaningful personal relationship in their life, or maybe work on their relationship with their kids, or they want to go create high-level business deals, if you want to earn $1 million, you got to show up like $1 million. There's no way around it. If you can't embody that future for yourself, you're not going to attain it. So I help you step into that image that you need to project to be able to generate that success, right? And the success doesn't always need to be monetary. So yeah, I think that kind of puts it in a nutshell. And then just to add to that, if you don't mind, I also run a company with my husband. We help entrepreneurs and business owners up-level their businesses. So, I'm a business I'm a self-confidence and success coach. And the success part of it is, what are those systems and processes that you're implementing in your business to grow as well and to grow your ROI.
I love that. And for those listening who are interested in connecting with you, what is your website and where do you hang out predominantly on social media?
Okay, so Victory in Biz, thank you very much for putting that on the screen for me. victoryinbiz.com. There you can schedule a call with me for free. I love just chatting and learning more about you to see how I can support you. And then I'm a little old school. I'm still on Facebook a lot, so you can totally find me on Facebook, Vanessa Raymond. In Colorado, I also have a page on there called Victory in Biz. So facebook.com/Victory in Biz. And then I'm on Instagram and I'm on YouTube. So you can find me at any of these places. I love new friends on social media, you guys. Please feel free to look me up and join me there.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. So much awesome information. For those of you resonating with Vanessa and all the goodness that she shared today, make sure you check out her website at victoryinbiz.com. It is a clickable link in the description wherever you are watching us at. She predominantly hangs out on Facebook and then also Insta and YouTube. Any closing thoughts, Vanessa, as we wrap up? This has been great.
Yeah, so I have a quick little story I can share just to close off here. It's a client story, and this is really when the light bulb went on for me. Because, I was a dancer, I was a trainer, and I was an esthetician cosmetologist as well. So I had these things going on, but never did I imagine it would come to what I'm doing now, right? This all led to where I'm now, what I'm doing now. But this was a monumental moment for me, and I think you'll find value in this too. So I was in the Pilates studio teaching my classes, sitting at the front desk, and a young lady walked in, really shy. I could barely see her face. She had her chin down and she was speaking very softly. Her bangs were across her face. And she said, "Excuse me, I'd love to take some Pilates." And I was like, okay, well, I can help you. I have some openings. I slotted her in and she came in the next day for her first session. I sat her down. And just for the sake of giving her an identity, we'll call her Rebecca. Rebecca sat down and I had my consultation with her like I always do. And in this discussion, it turns out that she had a tumor removed on the side of her neck. So it totally made sense. Her posture, she was totally hiding this gouge in the back of her neck. Her hair was covering everything. So not knowing what I know now, I just brought her into her Pilates sessions, put her on the reformer, the Cadillac, the barrel. We did all the things. But every day, intuitively, after her session, I would have her stand up in front of the mirror, put her hair behind her ears and smile. And I said, "Look at yourself in the mirror. You look so beautiful. You have a gorgeous face, and when you're standing tall, you just look beautiful." So I did that with her week after week. 10 weeks later, we were about 10 weeks into our sessions, working together twice a week. She came prancing in the door. I barely recognized her. She had cut her hair completely short in like a pixie hairstyle. And behind her came a gentleman and he walked straight up to me. He grabbed me by the shoulders and he looked me in the eyes and he said, "You must be Vanessa." I was like, "Yes, I am." And he hugged me and he pushed me back and he looked me in the eyes and he said, "I had to come and meet you because you changed Rebecca's life."
Wow.
It still brings tears to my eyes. And in the moment, I was dumbfounded. I had no idea what had happened. I was like, what the heck? What did I just do? Right. But now I understand it. And I went, and that was the light bulb. That was me going, okay, what happened here? What was I doing that led to this life change? Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it all started. And it's exploded and grown from there. I've learned so many more amazing things about how we operate as humans. But what I can say to you today, and I'll leave you with this, is just know that you're in the driver's seat. You have the ability to choose how you feel about yourself. Don't let other people determine that for you.
Beautiful. Great closing story.
Thank you.
I love, love, love that. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for being here. This has been absolutely fabulous. For those of you listening live or on the replay, also thank you. Remember to follow, like, and share. Once again, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way. Until